Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is my Stihl 220C. It's a battery powered electric chainsaw. This is the battery. It's probably my favorite electric chainsaw and just a really nice, handy, small saw. This saw, it's not going to replace a big saw. It probably won't even replace a gas saw. However, if you need a small one to keep on a four-wheeler, keep inside a pickup, keep inside a piece of equipment, it's really handy for that. And that is what I used it for. So, things I like about this saw: it's small, it's compact. The chain, it uses a clutch to drive the chain. So the other electric saws I've been around, when you go to sharpen your chain, you usually have to take it off the bar, sharpen it in a vise. You have to do some extra stuff. This, you can just freely push the chain along. So you can sharpen this tooth, push it forward, sharpen. The other ones, you can do that, but it's more of a pain in the ass. They don't like doing stuff like that. What else? Don't have a whole lot else to say. It's a great small saw. I've used it in a couple places. I've used it in construction as a really rough carpentry tool. Doing log homes and that stuff. These are handy. I've used this thing. What's really funny is it cuts out window bucks really nice if you keep the chain a little dull, so that it's slower cutting, because there is no anti-vibe. You don't have to have any anti-vibe. So the tip of your saw bar goes exactly where you want it to. And that's a trend. If you watch my other videos, I like that for doing carpentry stuff. So the low noise level, that's great, but I mean, if you're running a chainsaw, it's not that hard to grab a set of headphones to keep the main amount of noise out. Use it at a sawmill to bust knots when the saw head on the sawmill would get too close to them and we misjudged something. It wasn't something that happened often, but it happened, and we just grab this thing and go to work. Let's see. I used it when we were logging. I was running the forwarder, and when I was running the forwarder, I'd have aspen logs or aspen trees that get tipped over into my forwarder trails. And whenever I was bringing a turn of logs back to the landing, I'd end up having to cut out one of these aspen logs out of the trail. It was great for that because it doesn't take up any space. It's completely legal for OSHA and everything. Anyway, it was great for that. What else? It's got a decent amount of power for what it is, and the chain speed on it is really high. So it does really well at pretty much anything that you need a small chainsaw for. For a gas saw, I would say this is just as useful as an 024 or a 260 saw. Those ones, they're better to have in general, but this is just as useful as one. It's, anything you're going to run a small bar on, it could definitely replace, so long as you're not doing a lot of cutting. If you have to do a lot of cutting, don't bother, because the battery will run out, and unless you have multiple batteries and you can pull, and you really have to have like 4 batteries, so you can have 2 charging and 2 with you, so that then you can swap them while you're out in the woods, and then whenever you get back to wherever your base is, either that be the landing or whatever, or your machine, you can then swap the 2 batteries, so you have 4. I've only got 1, and I'm talking from experience. This will irritate the hell out of you when you run out of battery and you can't get another battery. So yeah. Anyway, that kind of wraps it up. This is a great little saw for small stuff. It carries a lot of bar oil. That's another thing I like. It takes the entire battery to go through that bar oil, and it doesn't starve the bar for oil. That's that's phenomenal. I love it. So anyway, have a great day. Bye.